Welcome to Soft Bites Podcast. Your life, your dentistry. We talk about ways to have more fun and meaning in one of the coolest and most rewarding professions in medicine. Conversations on how to bring awareness, create a healthy workplace, and provide emotional insights to make dentistry a fulfilling activity while making space for one's wonder, creativity, and freedom. Here are your hosts, Manuela and George Andre.
Hello.
Hello,
We are
everyone.
back.
Welcome to the
How
Soft
are
Bites
you?
podcast. I'm good. How are you, Andre?
I'm fine. Life is good. I can't complain. Nothing hurts. Went to the doctor, did an MRI on my back. Everything's fine. Says I can work out and surf. Don't need to bother about the pain.
That's a big
So
thing, yeah.
all is good.
But don't need. What you mean? Don't need to bother about the pain. Do you have pain?
I've been one of the issues that I have is because I cannot surf like every week. Sometimes I am like 1 month or more without surfing. And then I go and travel and I go to Alentejo or go to Costa Rica or go somewhere else and I like surf twice a day for 3 weeks. And even though I
You
try
need to push
to work
yourself.
out a lot, yeah, and even though I try to work out a lot, I do it like every day. But there are some muscles during surfing that need some more, I would say, more frequent activity. And I was having a lot of back pain. If I start to surf if I start to surf like twice a day for 1 or 2 weeks, and then I wanted to sort things, and I went to the doctor, to a neurosurgeon, to see if I had any back issues. So I did an MRI. All is good, so I'm happy.
It's
No
good.
bad news regarding health for now. I hope they are as late as possible. So
Tell me one thing about
I think
surf.
one of the things about
Yeah.
aging is that health becomes so much critical, so much central in your life.
Yeah,
I
it
notice
takes
a
an important
huge
place. Yeah.
yeah, but I notice a huge difference in myself over the last 2 years. I go out less, and I love to party. I went out a lot. I was, if there was a dinner for partying or in whatever situation, I would be there. But I've been going out less. I've always ate good, but I'm eating better. I'm more careful, not only in terms of calories and stuff, but I'm a lot more into whole foods and stuff. Um, and and yeah, and health is very important. I mean, and I try to have a good sleeping schedule, and yeah, take good care of myself. And I try to do exams as often as I need, and I try not to do more damage than what was done. And we were asking regarding surfing. Well, surfing for me is not only the surfing itself; it's the places you go, the energy, and it's the contact with nature. And I was talking to the doctor, and I was telling what was the situation. I was there in 2017 for a similar problem, and everything was fine. It was the same two doctors that saw me this time, and they were telling me, look, I have many patients here that come because of sports, and sometimes we consider or they have some lesions that we start to consider to convince them to stop that particular sport, like tennis players or football players. But whenever it comes to surf, and it doesn't have to be professional, of course, I'm not a good surfer, but it doesn't have to be professional. But whenever it comes to surf, he was telling me that all the patients tell me, look, doctor, don't tell me, you can take me out everything, but don't prohibit me to go surfing, because I won't do it. Because it's just not about the waves that you do. It's about being in contact with the ocean. It's about being in contact with the beach. Even if, for example, after Costa Rica, I couldn't surf because I was completely fucked up from my back, and I was afraid before going to the doctor. And for 1 week or for 2 weeks, I didn't surf, but I still went to the beach, and I still went to the ocean and stuff. But so it's not about placing yourself on top of a board and riding some waves. It's that there's that, of course. I mean, when I was young, there was a lot of focus on the technique and doing this, but now I'm much more focused on the experience, on the surrounding, on the fitness, of course, of the sport. And I feel pride on being fit for that, and I work for that. But more than that is the exotic places, the energy, the vibes, the way that you feel after surfing. I mean, there's something special about the mix of the water, the sun, and the beach, and all those vibes. Not very good for skin cancer, of course, but but uh, but it's something that it's. I think that even if I actually completely stop surfing, I will still go to the water if when I'm completely old and incapable. Yeah, so that's, and I think it's also, for me, it's like a goal. It's like, I think it's very important for you to have macro and micro goals. And um, I have a goal to spend a few times a year, a few weeks a year, where I'm only focused on enjoying a place and surfing and working a little bit. Yeah. So I look forward for those. Always look forward for my week in Alentejo. I always look forward for my vacation in Costa Rica or in Latin America. I always look forward for that. So yeah.
Nice. No, I was asking about surfing because I know that you're not a professional surfer, and today
Yeah.
we're going to talk about how to develop a learner
Yeah.
attitude, and I think those kind of I mean, situations and sports and activities, I think it helps you in developing that. And
Yeah.
I think that you are the perfect example of a person that developed this
Thank
attitude of
you.
constant learning and learning with your environment and with your activities. So and I
Yes.
think that through surfing you probably feel that. Also, that's why
Yeah.
I was asking you about surf, even if you are not professional, even if you just go, for to just to enjoy the ocean, or even if there's the
You
chance
know,
that
I
you're not
see
going to get
for
any waves, but you go and you do it.
yeah. It's funny because I see in Costa Rica, and most of it, I was in Australia this year as well. Uh, and you see a lot of that in California. You see a lot of that in Australia. You see a lot of that in Latin America. There, I see a lot of guys and women as well in their 60s, sometimes in their 70s, still surfing. And that is very cool. They go do like one or two waves, they get tired and they go again. But that is so cool. How cool is to be when you're 70 to go for a full month in Australia, a full month in Latin America, just to go surfing in your 70s and in your 80s? How cool is that? I was like, well, I wish that when I'm in their age, I wish I can do this. These are the things that I look forward, really. These are the things that
It's
I look
nice.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the mindset of I don't know. So the learner mindset, how to develop this learning
Yeah.
attitude. I think that, and when I was thinking about this, is I think there was a shift because when we look in the past, and not so long ago, there was this mindset that I mean, you could go or not go to the university, but even if you go to the university, you learn what you need to learn. You graduate, and that was a little bit that's it. And now you had the job one job for life, and I
Yeah.
think that there was this shift, and I think that our generation
Yeah.
is the example of that. I think that we now continue to we can now see that we can continue to learn, and we can continue integrate our learning experiences in our life. And I think there was a shift of mindset. What do you think? Do you feel that shift?
Absolutely. I think that in any healthcare profession, I mean, doctors are constant learners for the technique, right? Things are always evolving. I think there's of course that basic level that you know that you need to attend congresses, you know that you need to read articles and to be on top of your game. And I think that's more relevant now than ever. And also, and internet has played a huge is making things much easier because you have a lot of online courses in medicine, in dentistry, and I think it's making things really easy, really easier. Let's say, yeah. So there's a technical part for sure. The technical part is, I mean, the rate at which healthcare providers would need some continuous education in the past compared to now is completely different. Today, I mean, every 6 months, even in dentistry, every 6 months there's a new technique, there's a new way of doing things, and especially like for people like myself that do a lot of courses. This is something that you really need to be on top of your game. And social media helps a lot. Social media helps a lot. The internet helps a lot. But social media, because I think that social media today is not only social; it's also professional. I mean, there's a lot of news that can. Yeah, it's a professional. There's a lot of news that come from the scientific community, from articles that get published. And I get a lot of updates from social media. And I think that if we really start to think about that, social media has really taken a big part on continuing professional education. And sometimes you are not aware.
But don't you think that, for example, what you said about social media, that in order for you to use it well, you have to have that learner attitude that we are talking about? Because social media, I mean, you can share the information, but if you don't have this attitude, you just read the information that is on the title and is the big letters. But if you are really interested, and if you want to go and you really want to learn, and you want to really to know what that is about, and if you want to go deep in the subject, you have to go to the real article, you have to go to the book, or you have to listen to the audio book, but you have to go deeper in the information. Because I completely understand what you are saying, and I agree. I mean, social media, it became it changed the game, so you have much more access to the information. But if you just trust social media, then you can be just you can, you know, when sometimes
misinformed.
You have and it's just not misinformed. It gives you a false sense of knowledge. You know those people that are very secure of themselves and like they know it all, and it's just based on that superficial knowledge of the big titles. So I think
that social media, for example, for me, what happens is that it depends also on the persons that you follow. I mean, there's some very interesting accounts from scientists, from dentists, from university professors. I mean, probably the biggest example is Huberman, right? Harvard
yes. He's going to do an episode on oral health.
Stanford.
Did you saw?
Absolutely, I saw that. Yeah, it's a Stanford. Is a Stanford scientist, and he brought into social media. Knowledge on the accessible way, so that is a good example. But I believe that social media plays more a role in terms of the introduction of the subject. Okay, so for someone, let's say for some of the guys that I follow said, look, I published this article, so okay, let me go and read the article. So I think it's like a news, that it's like more like of a news. I don't think that you learn actually from social media. I mean, you can micro learn some things, but it's like an introduction. It's like a news. So this came out, there's this new technique, and then you go and you search on online portals, or you just go and read the article, or you go and attend the course, or you whatever, or you go and see the podcast with that person. I mean, it's very interesting the times that we are going through in terms of knowledge. But I think that social media, yes, I mean, you should not use social media in itself for learning, but as a news platform, as a information platform, so that you can then go and search in the right forums, which are ideally scientific articles, of course. But Huberman is a very good example.
Yeah. But we go back to what we were saying. In order for you to go to go and search and to go deeper in the subject, then you have to have this learner attitude, right? You have to
Yes.
to cultivate this mindset of I don't know.
You have to be humble. You have to
that's
be
it.
humble.
That's it. Why it's so difficult to say I don't know nowadays? Do you think it has to do with what you are saying? Because information is everywhere, and it's like we have to know everything,
I think that in terms of dentistry, the technical part of dentistry itself, because I've been in this game so long of courses and publishing articles and congresses and stuff, I think that I've been exposed to so much of this and being part of this game that I have learned to not be fundamentalist in everything, because I might regret myself. I think you have to be very cautious when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to fixed positions, to fundamentalist views, to partial interpretations. There's a lot that we have a lot of bias, social bias and psychological bias. We have even sometimes some scientific bias. I mean, there's the truth is something that it's not very easy to grasp. We may have some grasps of the truth here and there, like in maths and stuff like that, but everything else, what is true today may be actually, and what has been true for decades may actually be questioned. For example, in dentistry, I think that maybe for 50 years it has been told that biological width should never be invaded. I mean, you should never place a restoration deeper than the biological or invade the biological width. And today we are questioning that because materials are different, preparations lines are different, and the knowledge of the biological process is different. So we are questioning that. And that has been told for 50 years. And in the beginning, for example, when I start to present these articles and talk about articles, not my articles, but articles that were starting to come out regarding, for example, vertical preparations, where we are seeing margins close to the bone with excellent periodontal response. It was difficult. I mean, there was a lot of negative reactions. I mean, we've been teaching this for 50 years. There's something wrong here. And the thing is that reality is more complex than a simple rule. Reality is much more complex. So I think that in dentistry, we have to be very, very cautious, not only in terms of the scientific techniques and scientific rules, but also something very important, which is the host response. The way that the patient responds to treatment is very different from patients to patients. And there's some, for example, in what regards biological process like implant placement, like bone regeneration, we've gone a long way. Of course, we are much better, but there are still things that we don't know, and we still do a lot. For example, in dentistry, we still do a lot of an interventive dentistry, and we have standards to apply that in every patient. But I think that the next decade of dentistry, maybe the next, I won't say decade, but the next maybe 2 or 3 decades will be knowing the host, knowing the biological responses of the host, and trying to do a dentistry that fits this biological profile, and work a lot on preventive dentistry, for example, because we place implants the same way. in patients, but some patients, they just don't brush adequately. They have medications, they have like depression, they don't have saliva. I mean, the reality is much more complex in what concerns to dentistry. So I really think that we should be cautious whenever we are doing a procedure, because what happens in 90% of the patients sometimes does not happen in 10% of the patients. So you have to be very cautious regarding your achievements, because we all have failures and we all have good days and bad days. And even if we do things very well, the biological response of the patient is different. And on top of that, there's also the human relationship with the patient, right? I mean, treatments tend to go well. And Antonio Mato was saying something very interesting the last one of the last episodes. He was saying something very that I think it's really nice, which is evidence-based dentistry. Also, you need to incorporate your own expertise and the will of the patient. So if you tell the patient, look, there's this technique, this is the best technique, but I don't do this, I do another technique. And the patient says, well, you do this other technique, but because I want to do this treatment with you, I prefer to do the other technique, even though I know it's not as good as the first technique that would have to be done by someone else. So there's this human relationship. So I think that if you don't establish a trustworthy relation from the start, chances are that will be things that will go wrong. It's very likely that things might go wrong in the future, because the worst thing that can happen to you, is to start a treatment and the patient does not trust you. And then you cannot go back, and then you do try-ins and this and that. And the patient is always believing that you are not doing things right. So I think that with experience, you learn to be a learner, you learn to be more humble, and you learn to listen to the patient. You learn to be more cautious with the patient. You learn to say no to some patients, which is very important. You also learn not to be excessively nice to the patient.
Permissive, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Permissive, for example, not to be too permissive to the patient. So I think all of those things you learn, and I think experience is a great teacher, because mistakes are amazing, right? Mistakes are the things that at the end of the day that make you change. Mistakes in relationships, in past relationships, mistakes in the relationship with your family, mistakes in procedures. At the end of the day, you learn a lot by doing mistakes, and I think this is the core of the learning mentality.
What you said was very interesting. For you to count with to take the patient in consideration, you have to be willing to listen to the patient
and to be humble.
That's it. That's what I was going to get. So that means that you have to be not only to when we talk about listen, it's really listen, and also listen to the objections, because the patient might have their own objections, their own point of views, and you have to be able to say, okay,
you have to
a good
know
question.
Exactly the motivation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You have to,
because
and
dentistry
also,
is very. Yeah, sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just going to say that you also have to be able to even ask back. So, what do you think? What is your opinion? So, and to listen to the opinion of the patient. Yeah.
Especially in complex dentistry, in dentistry that involves expensive treatments, invasive treatment like crowns, veneers, orthodontic treatments, implants, bone regeneration, stuff like that. The more complex the treatment, the more engaged the patient needs to be. And Iñaki Gamboreni says something which is, there are no good treatments without good patients. And there are just some patients that it's better not to do anything. For example, even today, Teresa was showing me a case where there's a missing papilla on the central incisors there. We did our best. We couldn't fill the papilla completely. And she was asking, so should we go for the additional graft? And I was just asking, so show me the smile line of the patient. It was a low smile line, so the patient didn't show that when they were smiling. And I was remembering, so talk me a little bit about the psychological profile of the patient. He says, well, he's a cool guy, just wants to get things done and is fine with this. And I just remember the guy said, well, I would go for pink ceramics. We'll solve this. No additional surgeries. You'll have the work finished and it's fine. For some other patient, I will probably go and do 3, 4, or 5 grafts if it's needed. So I think you need to understand up until where the patient is willing to go. And you need to listen. And again, this is why it's so important, initial examination. This is why it's so important not to pressure, but to inform. I always love that patients ask me for the treatment, because if someone asks you, there is no doubt there's something that they want. If you propose them, they may say yes, but actually, do they really want that? Do they really want that enough to go through this path? And I think it's really important to learn that. I mean, with experience, because I think that in the first years of clinical practice, we try to apply this standard, right? So there's a missing tooth, you go for an implant. Sometimes you go for a removable denture. Sometimes you go for a bridge. Sometimes you don't do nothing. Sometimes the patient smokes 20 cigarettes a day. It's better not to do anything, right? Even today, even a few weeks ago, there was this lady that says, "Oh, I want to do implants," and she was smoking 2 packs a day for like 5 years. The last 5 years, 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that." And she had an history of failing implants. She had done a full mouth over implants. Everything failed. So after 5 years, now she starts to smoke more, and now she wants to do more implants. I mean, why would I do that? I mean, it's just going to be a pain in the ass. It's just going to be problems after problems after problems. So yes, I think that you need to have a learner attitude in terms of, okay, there are some things that need to be very customized to the patient. Your attitude needs to be customized to the patient. Your treatment plan needs to be customized with the patient. And I think that the core of the learner, and I think this is really important, which is the core of the learner is the mistake and the errors. The errors are amazing, right? They are good if you learn with them, right? If you keep doing them, they are not. But errors are so good. Errors are really, really nice. And one of the things that I think it's
also if you have a growth mindset, because if you don't have a growth mindset, sometimes errors and mistakes can freeze you, and you can start working by fear, and you can retract instead of evolving. You can retract. So I think it's very important the attitude that you bring to the mistakes. If you embrace it with that attitude that you are saying, then yes, they are your biggest teachers.
Yeah, and I think that we all know some people that mistakes can actually be okay. Oh, I've done a graft and it went wrong, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm just going to treat kids. I tried surgery, but it's not good, so I prefer to do only the restorative part. Yes, I think that you need to have a growth mentality, but I think that the growth mentality is highly connected to is this something that you really want? Is it something that really makes you feel alive, right?
And also I see that because I think that
because for some people, dentistry is not something that that makes them feel alive.
And I think that also at some people it lacks the to develop some emotional intelligence, because I think that sometimes people, what they don't want to feel is the negative feeling when they make a mistake that we all have, right? So when that feeling, that we have to feel, but we have to be able to continue. So, but there are some people that cannot overcome the fact that that I don't want to feel like that again. And by not wanting to have the negative feeling that they felt, they don't want to do it again. And they don't understand that, we have to look
bad.
Yeah. There's a lot of, sometimes it's the, the emotional intelligence, right? To be able to understand that what you don't want is to feel that negative feeling, is not to do that again. So you have to be able to separate things, and to really overcome, and to grow. Because if you don't have that emotional detachment, if you link the two things together, the error and the mistake, then it's very difficult to overcome. It's possible, but it's much more difficult, and it will make, in some situations, you can even put in, and you can even question, am I built for this? Is this really what I
Yes.
want? Because I'm only feeling negative things here. So,
Yeah.
and then you don't grow. You go for the safe place. You keep on doing just the easy dentistry and the easy, So I think
Yeah.
and that's why the self awareness, the emotional awareness in the beginning, it makes it for you to
You
learn with
know.
the mistakes. It's very
Yeah.
important for that.
There's this slide. There's this new slide that I showed last year on the course of Sagres I was talking about painful mistakes, turning the painful mistakes into pleasant mistakes, which is trying to associate the mistake into a positive learning experience instead of only focusing on the negative. And I think this is really key. And there's a reason why Nike's slogan is the best slogan in the world. Just do it, because you really have to. I mean, there's no other way. If it's something that is pulling you, if it's something that, look, I would like to do this kind of dentistry, you have to do it. Of course, with proper education, you have to do it, and you have to. If you dream, if you think of every day about the things that you would do by opening a practice, how cool would that be? You have to do that, right? With well planned and everything. I think if you feel that something is pulling you towards a goal, I think you should do things, and by doing, inevitably you will do mistakes. And it's just like what you were saying. It's about trying to change that feeling of pain into understanding that this is actually growth. Yeah. And for me, for example, when it comes to the technical part of dentistry, I was always very focused. Of course, I did a lot of mistakes, but by no means they have ever felt like mistakes or painful. I mean, I just knew that I wanted to do that. I just knew I want to write articles. If I get rejects, I'll just do it, because I had this complete feeling that I would want to be a good dentist. In the field that was more painful to me is the management skill. The management skill was never natural to me, and I had to learn, and I had a lot of pain during my path as a leader in a dental practice, and I still do. And I still have a lot of work to do. I mean, I'm very good with concepts and science and stuff, and with people. I think I'm much better now. I am much better, but I struggle a lot in the beginning in terms of the finances of the practice, because I was way too focused on writing articles and documenting cases, on managing the dental team, on how to create a team, how to have a good team by your side. And it's still a struggle for me, because it's a very, very difficult balance between caring about all of them, but at the same time not caring, not let that care to prevent me from doing the things and saying the things and implementing the systems that I know that they need to be able to work. So it's a big war inside me. It's every day. It's still something that it's difficult for me, and I try to learn. And one of the things about this podcast, and to be perfectly honest, and I talk a lot about this when people ask me. I said, look, the biggest reason why I do the podcast with Manuela, and I think for her is the same thing, is that we don't do that for money, but for me, because talking about the things that I am the weak, make me more aware, and I think that I'm a better leader because of the podcast. Because you have to walk your talk, and because I think that talking about things and the way that you can improve, it's very good. And it's because it's very difficult to manage a team of half a dozen of dentists and half a dozen of assistants nowadays in Portugal, with all the financial limitations that the people have, with all the competition in dentistry. It's not easy. It's not easy, really, and dealing with people is not easy. And I think that this is the thing that I still learn the most. And of course, experience and maturity gives you a lot of advantages, and of course, professional success also makes things easy. But it's something that I still struggle a lot as a learner, and it was a thing that forced me more to change is dealing with people, is managing people. Yeah.
Don't you see, if you agree with me on this one? Don't you think that in dentistry, dentists have a learner mindset and a learner attitude when it's concerned to the technical aspects, and then
But not
for
to
the other
yes.
from the other part, the you can call it human skills or soft skills or management skills, even for the practice owners, or leadership
Yes.
skills for the practice owners or not. Don't you think that then for that part they have like a more judger mindset and a more
Absolutely, and it's good. It's very good that you talk about that word. I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me today. So don't forget that judge word. I think that dentists bet this much or spend this much time and money on technical education, and it's zero to almost nothing in terms of human skills.
Yeah, I'm
and
the proof
management
of that.
and financial skills. Sorry?
Yeah. I'm the proof of that. Sometimes I have to convince. They come to me saying, "Oh, and this and that," and I have difficulty here, and I would like this and that and that. But then almost I have to convince them. We say, okay, then you need to learn about this. Then you need to, because I think it's like common sense, or so. It's like we talked on the other episode when we talked about communication. I mean, you can learn this. There's methods, there's scientific proven tools, and these are skills and knowledge. So you should learn it. But yeah, it's true. Dentists, they make a commitment, a long life commitment to update their technical skills, to learn their technical skills. And they have, when we talk about the learner mindset, I don't believe that there any dentist that say, oh, no, I don't have a learner mindset, because they do, but it's for the technical part. It's for the technical part. For the other part, for the human skills, the communication skills, the management, leadership, there's this really, it's a judger mindset. Huh? It's a very still mindset.
Funny. But you know something? It's
and they think they know it. They think it's like
yes, but it's
something
funny. It's funny because when dentists said, "Well, technical skills are very important," but I think there's something else missing that I need to learn, and we need to do. And the first thing that comes to their mind is not actually human skills and management skills. The first thing after the technical part that's a little bit out of the box that comes to their mind is marketing. That really pisses me off, you know? That really pisses me because I think I have this love-hate relationship with marketing. I think marketing, first of all, marketing was not needed when everybody lived in villages, because everybody knew the worth of someone. They knew who was the best doctor. They knew who was the best lawyer in villages, right? And marketing came up. I think it was Jazz that was quoting some. Marketing came up in where cities became larger, and you had to show yourself. The problem is that during that show-off process, truth is sometimes placed on the side. Truth is not in the center of the message, right? That is something that pisses me off. I have a relationship that is a little bit strange with marketing, because I believe that if you go to the root of marketing, and if you look at marketing, and we all do that, I do the same in my social media with my practice, but if you come to the root of marketing, we want to show the nice part of things. And truth and marketing, sometimes they don't go hand to hand. And that's something that bothers me. Because in my point of view, all my marketing should be based on the truth. And I try to do that a little bit. But let's be honest. I mean, marketing, you want people to hear from you. Marketing, you want people to buy from you, right? So it's funny because dentists, they think about technical part and then, okay, let's think a little bit more outside the box. Let's talk about marketing, right? And I think that for marketing, you should think about other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but when they don't talk about marketing, do you know what they talk about? They talk about giving up. They talk about, oh, what I would like is to stop. Yes. They don't conceive the possibility of enjoying their profession, of learning skills that allow them, or to live the profession in another way that allows them to enjoy their profession,
Yes.
So it goes for that road, or, okay, I need marketing to promote my work, more patients, more money, or whatever. Or, okay, what you need to be happy, I need to stop. I want to stop.
I'm fed up with stupid patients.
You can. That's it. But that's it. That's a huge red flag. Huh? That's a huge red flag when patients are. I say this. I say this all the time. It's a huge, huge red flag. But they don't conceive that you can actually learn certain tools and certain skills that will allow you to enjoy a little bit more your profession. That you can make some changes, but okay, you have to make some changes. And sometimes I think that this judger mindset, or this knower mindset, I call it sometimes judger, sometimes knower, because I deal with this mindset very often because I teach the other skills, not the technical skills, to dentists. So I think that there are some colleagues that don't want to get into this because they know that they have to make changes, and to change some things, it's hard because you are used to do things in a certain way, and then if you have to change, it's hard. But you see it. Do you see it when you are talking about developing this kind of skills, and just to talk about what we were talking before, to listen to the patient and to let the patient participate in the conversation, and to ask to the patient, or to say to the patient, that's a good question. Tell me, what do you think? What's your opinion about that? You have to be brave, to do that. And even when we talk about developing skills as active listening, or really letting the patient enter in the conversation, and this might seem simple things, but for it's not, because they are almost in a robotic way. I'm not even saying an autopilot. It's just that you have like a script already rehearsed, and your communication with the patient is just that. Bias. There's no more interaction than that. And then when something happens, you go to that judger mindset, that you have to blame whose fault is this?
It is. I think it's a journey, and for me, the way I see it, for example, I was a person that I changed a lot. There was something in me that changed a lot during university. During university, I started to be very curious about yoga and mindfulness and stuff like that. And at that time, we are talking 25 years ago, it was something very, very strange at that time. I was vegan for many years. I'm not any longer, but I was vegan. And I had a lot of curiosity for other stuff. And I think that I always had the notion that the capacity to change myself was an invaluable skill. The capacity to change your mind, to change your body, to change your attitude is a remarkable skill. But I still, this is why I told you not to forget the word judge. I still have a lot of bias. I still have, for example, this last week was a difficult week. Yeah, but an example. This last week was a difficult week for me because basically there was a patient where the dental team, we took about almost 3 months to present a treatment plan to a patient. There were some justifications. There were some, it's never completely justified, but yes, we needed to ask some exams, and it was my team. I was not involved in the case. But then when I came from vacation, I just was doing that, and I just checked that. I was so pissed off. And I completely exploded in the WhatsApp group of the practice. And I said, look, there is no way this can be acceptable. This is a complete lack of respect for the practice, for myself. This is not the first time that's happening. We talked about that. There were a couple of people involved. It was not the first time that happened. And I really wanted, in my point of view, I really wanted to make a point. And in that wheel of making a point, I think I got lost in the way that I was talking to. I was never disrespectful, not in any means, but I really want that everybody understood that this was not acceptable. And this was not the first or not the second or the third time. And we cannot accept it. I was telling him, look, this patient is willing to spend more than 20,000 euros on a treatment plan. She already said that money was not an objection, and we are taking almost 3 months to present a treatment plan. I tell, look, if this treatment plan is not presented by the end of this week, no matter what's still pending, no matter the other specialists that you need to talk, orthodontic surgery or whatever, I want this to be presented by the end of this month without any delays. If it's not presented, I will personally call the patient and send this to other specialists and not to you. Because I completely find this unacceptable, and I will never tolerate this again. I was very, very direct because it was not the first, nor the second, or the third time. But it was not something I've done much worse. There were things that I've done that I regret. I was never disrespectful with. I don't think I was ever disrespectful. But I can be very, very critical and very, very sharp in terms of these things when I think that something is recurrent. But and then there were some other stuff that happened in some other businesses that I have. So some misbehaviors of some people. And it was a tough week because I carried that stress along, right? And today I didn't work in the morning. I had my meeting stuff. I went to do some shopping. And I was walking down the street. And even though I had worked out in the morning, I did some box training, I felt that that angriness, that burn. Why have they done this? This is not the first time. And this, and you walk with those things around you. And I was reminding myself of one exercise that I did many years ago and that sometimes I still do, which is, okay, let's have 3 hours without thinking anything negative about anyone. Okay? So, okay, let's change the perspective. Why have they done this? Yes, there is a justification because this, and that. Okay? And why did you react like that? Could it have been a more productive way of saying the same thing and not having to be so sharp? And there probably was a better way to do that. There probably was something that was equally effective, probably more respectful for the persons in cause, and there was a better way, right? And I think that if you stop the judging mentality, because what happens is that you start to become cynic and you start to think, oh, everybody's like this. You start to make assumptions about, oh, they delayed on the treatment plan presentation, this is how they are. Or they delayed because of this and because they are favoring other practices that they work and not in my practice. So you do a lot of assumptions that they might eventually be right. But the question is, it's very important to be impartial and non-emotional and not actually, I mean, it's very simple. It's not to be angry when you are living with such with these kinds of situations. And these things happen every single day in practices. And in mine, I am sure that it happens much less than in an average practice because, I mean, we work a lot on this stuff. But this happens, and this is why I think the opposite of the learning mentality is the judging mentality, is the guy that makes assumptions, the guy that it's inflexible, the guy that believes that they knows everything, but especially the guy that makes assumptions, because we are very, very good at making assumptions. I mean, if this person these 3 times, this is because she is like that, or if this nurse she has done this a couple of times, that's the way she is, like she's dumb or she's not organized. And the world is much more complex than that. And I think a very healthy exercise, at least for me, to keep that learning mentality, which is, okay, the world is much more complex. A lot of things might have happened while you were on vacation. And so this is what's happening. So what would be a more productive way of doing this? Okay, so why don't we have a system that controls this? I mean, we have something that is that they know that in 3 weeks they should provide a treatment plan. But there is no control of that. There is no one that is controlling that. But I would say controlling in a happy way. So I may eventually say, so the nurse can say after 3 weeks, pending treatment plans, it was not being presented to the patients. Okay, let's just send an email to the doctor and say, look, this is pending, and eventually talk to the patient or send an SMS to the patient. Look, your treatment planning is a little bit more complex. We are working on it, but we'll call you as soon as possible to present or something like that. That would have been a much more productive way of dealing with the situation and preventing future situations, right? But because you let some other behaviors connected to those persons get into the way, and you completely explode. So I think that it's very easy to create judgments about the world, judgments about groups, judgments about people. And I think the opposite is to be open and to be and to learn. And a good exercise for me, it's a very good exercise, which is okay, Andrea. So let's enter into the non-judgment mode, which is it's prohibited to have negative thoughts about anyone during the next hour. Just realize that whatever they did is because of a reason. Because they are suffering, because they have some struggles, or just because it's the way they were brought. I mean, if you have that non-judging mentality, which is actually the way that you should see the world, things become much easier. And you get into a learner mentality, you become much more curious, and it's like you detach yourself from the battlefield and you see the things from above, and you realize, actually, I'm completely full of anger. Because it's not actually because of the thing, it's because it's not the first, nor the second, or the third time that this is happening. And it's true that some things everybody needs to understand that they should not happen, but there is probably a more productive way of handling the situation if you are more curious and if you just zoom out a little bit. And this helps me. This is an exercise that helps me a lot of having like a period that...
Yeah, you talked about a lot of things. I did a lot of exercises, but you need but just to resume it. I mean, you need, of course, self-awareness. You need to be able to have time to reframe the situation. I mean, reframing is a technique of emotional regulation. And it will bring you perspective over the situation. It's a technique of also for self management, and you have to bring curiosity. You also mentioned curiosity, which is, I think, it's a main characteristic of a learning mentality. What?
You know when I fail the most? I fail the most. Sorry to interrupt you. I fail the most when I get the bad news in between patients, or where I'm stressed because I am stressed because some other issue, and then I realize that some shit is going on in my practice. And then because I'm burdened with the negative energy of what happened that has nothing to do with that, or because I'm tired, or because I work late hours, or because I had some problem with someone else, and this is where it's difficult for me to stop
You
and say,
are
look, this is
describing
not
the
the time to take.
everyday.
Yeah,
You are
this is not the
describing
time to
the
take all
everyday
this.
of a dental clinic, huh?
Yes,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why dentistry is
yeah,
classified as a highly stressful profession, and that's why there are higher levels of exhaustion and burnout. And
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's because all of that you are saying.
And
It's because you are dealing with
so,
technical, demanding,
yeah,
very demanding technical procedures in a small frame of time, several of those treatments
and
during the day, in a
exactly,
human being and a conscious human being. So you are doing things
yeah,
over local anesthetic. You
yeah,
are dealing with a team.
yeah,
You might be or not be the owner of the practice. If you are the owner, you will
yeah,
receive probably more bad news between patients. But I mean, there's a lot of things happening, a lot of shit hitting the van, like he used to say. And then
yeah,
if you are not, I mean, even if you do the work and you do the work and you work on yourself and you learn about all of this, and you sometimes react. Now imagine not having any self-awareness. I mean, you are just on your reactive mode. You're just reacting. And then because you are not aware, it's like you said, everything is conditioned about I mean, the patient has nothing to do. When you were saying earlier, when you hear someone
yeah.
saying, I cannot stand this patient, it's not the patients, eh? It's
You're
a
not the
lot of
patient,
things
yes,
happening. It's a lot of
yes,
things happening,
on the background,
but you have no idea, in order to no awareness, in order to make that distinguish, for example, to distinguish even what's stress and which is normal negative emotions, because negative emotions are part of life. You might be angry and not be a stressful situation, but
yeah.
this needs awareness, and this needs time, and this needs perspective, and for you to be able
Exactly.
to,
The,
for,
and this
yeah,
needs time. You said, for example, today
time.
I work very hard on Monday, I work very hard on Tuesday, and today is Wednesday, right? So Monday and Tuesday were difficult days for me. Wednesday, today I didn't work in the morning. I mean, the morning was for some staff meetings, and then the afternoon was with patients. And not having to see patients in the morning gave me that space to realize, okay, yeah, so I need to I need to see these things in a different perspective. But had I booked patients in this morning, I would probably keep in this mode for the rest of the week. So this is why it's so important to, especially if you are a practice manager, if you are an owner of a practice, it's very important that you don't work with patients every single day of the week, and sometimes 6 days of the week. It's very important. Shorter week, shorter working weeks, shorter working weeks are very important, and to have some mornings off, or once a week, or a full day off, just to zoom out,
You
and to
need to
look at
rest.
things in the yes, yeah. But that again, this is something very practical. This is something very, I mean, you just make sure that you don't overbook your schedule. Just make sure this is happening, because otherwise it's impossible for you to zoom out and to stop and realize exactly what is going on. It's impossible. It's impossible for you to be on top of your game emotionally and be a good leader and a calm leader uh, if you see patients, if you are overbooked with patients. It's impossible. It's humanly, you have to create those conditions for that to happen. Yeah. And look, I am aware of this. I mean, we do podcasts of this. I had come from vacation, and even still, what happened was so disturbing to me, and it was so serious that I realized that I could have dealt with that in a more healthier way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that for the ones listening, when we say things like you don't overbook your agenda, you need to rest, you don't work every day, you need or take a morning
Yeah.
off, and the ones listening are thinking, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes, very easy for you
Exactly.
to say,
To
but
say.
if I'm not there, there's no money. If I'm not working, there's
Yes.
so I think it's very, very important that we also say that
We also say that
yeah,
they should come to our
financially,
course and
yeah,
change their
that's it.
minds.
That's what I was going to say. Financially, stability is the core of a dental clinic. We say that, and we don't
Yes.
over. It's the other way around. We give it
Yeah.
much attention, but we talk and we teach that on the course. So how you can actually have time to rest, have time for yourself. We teach you how these exercises, the how to reframe this emotional regulation exercises, the self-awareness, but also how you can manage in order to work less but still have a healthy financial flow on your practice, because we know that this is very important. And but on the other hand, now at this conversation, we understand how things can go really, how dentistry can become so reactive, and how you can get in this wheel of just reaction and putting out fires, and not and when you hear things about, oh, you have to work on your communication skills, oh, you have to work on your human skills, and they look at us and they smile and they say, yeah, yeah, okay, I learned by
Yes.
experience.
But
That's usually the answer that I have. Oh, yeah, I learned all of that by experience.
I think you have to actively stop and I wish 20 years ago that I had done like some management course or something. I really wish that because I was one of the person that would really benefit from having learned more managing skills. And still I was very lucky because when I met Alok in London, he came to my practice and it completely changed the trajectory of my practice. In about 2006, 2007, after 3 or 4 years, after 2 or 4 years we opened. It completely changed, and that was only possible because I was open to the change. I gave it a try, and I realized, and it made me realize that in the long term, it's not. The long term goal is to be happy. It's not to be the best dentist, but it is to be
Yeah.
happy and balanced and achieve your goals, right? And sometimes we forget that. And I think that, and like you were saying, the finances are really, really important. The financial part is really important. Otherwise, it's impossible to do anything else. And I think that before we end, I was taking here some notes regarding the learner mentality from a perspective of being a young dentist. Because I think it's a time in their lives that they are very
Open
they have
to
a lot of
learn and
doubts.
curious.
Yeah, and they have a lot of doubts. I mean, what should I do? Should I work in my country? Should I go abroad? Which specialty should I focus on? Should I go? Should I work as a general dentist for a few years? Should I go right now and do a postgraduate course? What should I do? And my advice would be to do things and to do as much things as possible. And here again, I say this to many students, which is ask other people to watch them work. Most of the dentists that I know, most of the best dentists in Portugal would not bother themselves to have someone there to watch them work if they can bring something to the table. Because I think that sometimes they say, well, I'm just losing time here. I could be making more money. Actually, if you are watching someone that is a role model or a mentor or something that you admire, if you watch them work and if you are there as a learner, and if you don't have to pay, even if you don't earn anything, you don't have to pay anything, and it's a bargain for what you are getting. Go and watch role models. Ask to be in their practices. Ask for nothing. Look, I'm just here. I just would like to see how you work. I would just like to see what's happening here. There's nothing wrong there. You have nothing to do. In the first 2 or 3 or 4 years of your dental career, if you have like once a week to go and watch someone else, maybe sometimes far away, like 1 or 2 or 3 hours drive or train or whatever, it's always worth it. It's always worth it. Just say, look, I'm here. I can help you by cleaning the room. I can help you doing I can do it. I can work as a nurse here, but I just want to see, because it's very important to feel the energy of these people. The people that you admire, maybe you can go and you just start to realize, actually, I don't admire this guy or that guy that much because he's not what I thought he was. I saw something on social media. It's actually not the energy that I like. Or you can go and see, really, this is really something that I would like. This is the kind of practice that I would like to have in a couple of years. And expose yourself to different people. Go and see other people work. And I think that this is not done enough. I think that they believe they are wasting time. Actually, they are doing the best investment in their life. If there is someone that you admire, if there is a dentist that you love for whatever reason that you follow, just go and ask him or her if you can watch them once a week. Of course, you have to behave. You have to know where you stand. You have to make sure that you are not invasive to the patient. You have to make sure you ask questions. Look, how should I behave here? When should I go into the room? Should you ask your, for example, in my practice, anyone that comes to learn or to watch me, we gave him the code of conduct. They know they cannot use the cell phone inside. They know they could not be standing against the wall. They know they should not have silly questions or laugh about something that the patient said. But they know that they should not be in front of the patient when the patient is using is rinsing, for example. They know all this stuff. So if you go, just ask, so how should I behave? Are there any rules here? I want to be as less invasive as possible. I just want to hear and learn, and then wait for the patient to come out and ask questions. Just try to shadow these people. There's a lot of people that have no issues whatsoever by being shadowed, of course. And having that learner mentality early on in your career is very important. Be exposed to as much different experiences as you can. Okay? And if you think about being an orthodontist, go and see 3 of the 4 best orthodontists in your area to work. Ask them. If you want to be an implant surgeon, ask those. If you want to, and if you are in doubt, just go and watch all these people and just do that like for 1 year. Be no rush. Just watch them. Just ask questions. Feel their energy. Look at their lives. How healthy are them? How balanced are them? How is the relationship of them with the staff? Is it something that you want for yourself? How many days are they working a day? Do they have like an escape plan? How many patients they see a day? What is their goal? I mean, just try to realize that slowly, step by step, start to realize if that is exactly the kind of person that you want to be. And from all those learnings, there will be an inspiration, and the merge of all those learnings and your own goals, there will be an inspiration for the kind of dentist which is the most important thing, the kind of dentist that you want to do and the kind of practice, if it is the case, that you would like to create. And that as a learning mentality for me in the beginning is something that I can never get tired of mentioning. Yeah.
Okay, so I took note of some things. I think we can resume some, just to finish, and resume some attitudes of everything that we talked about on how to cultivate this positive learning attitude in dentistry. So first, embrace a growth mindset. We talked about that you should believe that your abilities can be developed through not only hard
we
work
can
and
change.
dedication, but also from your mistakes. You should believe that. And I also think that having this mindset can make you more resilient in the face of challenges and setbacks, like we talked about. So second, curiosity. So stay curious, and we have that, just like we said, we have a natural learning attitude for the technical part of dentistry, but use that curiosity also for the other parts, for the all your other human skills, and also for other people. It helps you also to bring a different perspective if you bring the human part to the relationship. I also think that, I mean, to be curious about the world around us is always a positive thing to have. And then I think you also mentioned focus on the process. So because it's very easy to get caught on the result, or just to focus on the outcome, but that can lead sometimes to frustration. So try to enjoy the process, celebrate the small victories, and also I think this helps to remind that progress is more important than perfection, because sometimes we are very attached to perfectionism in dentistry. I think that if we focus on the process,
Yes.
it will also help us detach a little bit of perfection. And then another thing that you mentioned now, here in the end, is surround yourself with positive influences. So
Or
uh,
search them, or
the,
try to search for them. Yeah.
yeah, search them, and this might include peers, mentors, a teacher, someone that you admire. I mean, nowadays, and we also talked about nowadays, social media, you can text everyone, you can look everyone online, you can search for the email, and but it makes all the difference if you surround yourself
Yeah.
with those positive influences. And and I think that this is what we covered. Don't know if you want to add anything else.
No. Yeah. I think that we covered pretty much all. I was here thinking about the title or the theme for another episode I'm going about to send you by WhatsApp, so we can take note, which is: there is no success if you don't belong to a happy team. Right? In the end of the day, I mean, you have to learn, but the goal is not the personal
Mm-hmm.
success. I mean, I don't think there's anything as such
Mm-hmm.
as a personal success, because success implies
I don't
that
think in
you
dentistry that exists. I don't also think that
it's
exists in
impossible.
general,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean, without connection is I think it's
it's not
impossible.
worth it. Success is not worth it without
Yeah,
the good connections. Yeah.
yeah, but in
Yeah.
but in dentistry, I mean, it's all about the human component. It's all about the human component. So
Yeah.
I think you cannot achieve success in dentistry alone, for sure. But okay, I think that's part when you start to learn about these things that we were talking about. For example, about self-awareness. When you start to bring more presence to your work, when you start to do those kind of exercises that you were talking about, in order to change perspective, to reframe situations, to try to think about what the other person might think or might be going through, um, that will bring you that connection immediately. If you are completely working in autopilot with no self-awareness, there's this disconnection, that you don't feel connected to your patients, to the people around you. In order for you to be able to do these exercises, you have to have that self-awareness, and connection comes in a very natural way. So yeah, and we always say, and this is what we teach also in the conscious leadership course, it's to bring these two worlds together, this world of technical dentistry and this world where you have also to have a financial stability, together with the human component world, would bring meaningful relationships, would bring a healthy team, with putting everyone together, and everyone is a part of that success that you were talking about. And that's I think that's one of the main goals of our course, is to bring all these parts together in a way that they all make sense, and that you can create a good environment, and that you can enjoy your work more.
Yeah. I think a good theme would be, there is no success if you don't belong to a joyful team. There's a lot in this phrase. There's no success if you don't belong to a joyful team. That could be a good subject for some next episode. Okay, so before we go, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We have a new Instagram page where I'll be dropping some snippets of the podcast and some other stuff. So don't forget to follow us. It's Soft Bites, right?
Podcast. It's Soft Bites Podcast on Instagram.
Soft Bites Podcast.
Yeah, and to know more information about the Conscious Leadership course, it's softbites.online. The next edition is going to be in March, and we are going to teach you all of this parts of dentistry that we just talked about. The financial part, the systems part, the protocols part, and the human part, the self-awareness, the mindful, the emotional intelligence also. So all these human skills, we're going to talk about it. And thank you for listening. And thank you, Andre.
Again. Thank you,
See
Manuela.
you on the next one.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to the Soft Spice podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Please leave a comment or connect with us on social media. Your comments and messages will help us to know you and our profession a little bit better, so that we can offer real value in return. And if you like it, please subscribe. If you want to learn how to be a leader and drive change in dentistry, take a look at our Conscious Leadership course at softbites.online.